Randy, it's been my experience that in divorce situations, whether it's high profile professional athletes, celebrities, CEOs, that there's almost always a series of secrets that both parties know because they were married and they've shared stories with one another that nobody wants to get out. My experience, and I'll share with you, almost all the cases, my client said that's off limits and we can't talk about it. And because I know what she did and he did, and this, and there's almost a mutually assured destruction with those secrets, whether it's filing tax returns together or something like that. Why don't you share with us your experience and how you encourage people to play nice?
There always comes a day, right? No matter what, you try. Almost everyone starts off, we want to be nice. We don't want to badmouth them. And then the celebrities, especially, they see something posted or there's a story in People magazine and they've got this urge to defend themselves. And then they ask us, can we fire something off? And I almost always say, and it depends, but I almost always say, look, you're not going to have the last word. If you say something to respond to that, how are they going to feel? What are they going to want to do? Well, they're going to want to say something back. Right. And then you're going to want to respond to that. So it's hard to not take the first step, or it's hard not to respond. But we're in an emotional business. If people didn't have emotions and they just did everything like a business transaction, there'd be very little for us to do. Half of what we do, probably more than half of what we do, is talking people out of doing stupid things, right? We're saying stupid things.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm sure you do. But that it's sort of interesting, and we can feel good about ourselves privately that we told them to just be a good person, and it would be good for them and their children in the long run. And I know, Miles, you've said this to people all the time. Don't give the money to me, give it to her, give it to him. And they're so mad, they say, I want to fight. I don't care what happens. I just want the world to hear my story, or I want the judge to hear my story. And we have to explain that it won't feel that good. You're not going to get that aha moment. But you might feel better years later. You could have, but you didn't.
Randy, you and I have been the beneficiary of friendship with a number of family lawyers around the country. We get to enjoy each other's company, share a meal, maybe have a refreshing adult beverage or two with each other at these conferences. And one of my favorite experiences is hearing the different lawyers say, oh, I represented so-and-so. Now, I don't know about you, I've never had anybody give me any kind of dirt or anything like that. They would, no lawyers I respect talk bad about their own client. But my favorite part is if the person has a persona that makes them look pompous or arrogant or just a total a-hole, hearing from that lawyer, oh no, in real life, they're the most nice, gracious, humble person. And then other people who have a great image of being humble and nice and generous and all American, behind the scenes they're just awful. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, and you and I being involved nationally with the ABA and other organizations and the accounting organizations, it's nice. I got 3 calls today from lawyers, top lawyers in other states, saying, Randy, I know you're in Atlanta, but you're connected. Do you know a good lawyer in Louisiana for a client that has an issue in Louisiana? And I like being able to help coordinate that. But absolutely, that's what's fun, because we're not going to battle against these people that we meet that are from Chicago and Pennsylvania and Boston. And to hear that they encounter the same stuff we encounter, and they don't come out and say, I've represented so-and-so, but we ask, right? Look, a good friend of both of ours represented Tom Cruise's wife, right? Katie Holmes. And it was sort of fun. One day I'm across the street from CNN, as you know, and CNN would often call me and say, hey, this divorce is big news. Can you just come explain what's probably going on or how the situation works, sort of like we're doing today? And I got to say, I personally know the lawyers and they are great people. Same thing with the Sylvester Stallone case. I mean, her lawyer is an undergraduate classmate of mine that I know and I respect and is a great lawyer. And so it's nice when you know them and you learn about them and you get to, like you say, have a beer or have a drink or have break bread with them, and you talk about stuff, and that's really valuable. Okay, and I really want to get on my soapbox about this, because we don't go to law school and learn how do you represent celebrities, how do you represent athletes. We don't take a course in how do you represent celebrities, how do you handle it. It's by experience. You know, we know the law, we know the judges, we know the systems, but when a client comes to me or you, Miles, and says, what happens in a case like this where somebody's really famous and the judge is going to love that person and even want their autograph? How do I get treated fairly? Well, we've been there, and we explain the way it works, and we explain that, you know, the judge is going to bend over backwards. And what we're going to say is, Your Honor, we know that Mr. So-and-so is very famous, but I've assured my client that this court is fair and just and treats them as equals. You know, and then the client says, oh, that's good, because then the judge will see that they'll be, you know, looked at as being playing favorites. You know, so doing this kind of stuff over and over gives us some balance. And I like to be able to say to these folks, you guys have some benefits that other people don't have. You can have a nanny at each house. You can have a parenting coordinator to resolve disputes, like a private judge that's therapeutically trained. You know, there's just so many unique tools that once you do these kind of cases over and over, you can offer benefits to the clients, and they come in and say, wow, I'm glad I'm not the first one going through this. I'm glad there's some history, and I'm glad you've been there, so you can sort of tell me what works and doesn't work. And I feel really useful, and I know you do. You can share with a client that, yes, you've seen situations that are similar, and here are some tools and some methodologies that work there. It feels like we're earning our keep and really doing a service, not just plugging them in and saying, yeah, you're just another person going through divorce and you fill out the forms. It's not like that, right? Every case is different. It's nice when you've been through something similar that you can share, and that you gathered information, even by osmosis, like you were talking about, through these bar association meetings when we've talked to people that have been in these high profile cases, and we learn from them how they handled it. We register in the back of our mind that one day we may need to use that tip or that tool or that trick, and it helps people. It helps those people. They need us, right? They've not been through a divorce or a tough situation, and we've seen it. We've been there.